everyone on my staff can tell you I am the most technically challenged individual. And I'm going to be going through back and forth with some notes and this wonderful, is it the new iPhone? Katie, what is this? The 7, the 9? What are the other?
I think that's a Samsung.
Oh,
And it's actually, I think it's Christy Andrews' Samsung.
Christy, thank you.
And that's a Samsung TV, so you
Yeah,
have to
we're
have
on
a
TV
Samsung phone.
Yeah, there you go. All I have to do is say that. And I was somewhere where I tried to do a selfie. And it was a disaster.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to thank you so much, Rutherford, for that introduction. And what Rutherford was referring to is my genesis on why I made the decision to create this educational program, Wellness Within Walls. While I was working on this house, it was about 10 years ago when I was asked to participate. And then shortly thereafter, it will be 10 years this coming March, I was diagnosed with a very, very rare form of cancer. And it's an environmental cancer. And so I went back and tried to figure out, like lots of people that are diagnosed with numerous diseases, to try and figure out how did I get this? And all I could do that was constant was trace in my interior design contracts that I willingly signed in to my contracts that I would be on site during the most toxic times, when the adhesives were being put into gluing down countertops, when the paint was still drying, and it was just, I could go down the list. I won't. You all know what goes into the house. There's an amazing group of people here tonight. We have interior designers, home furnishings, we have builders, we have energy efficiency specialists, we have publicists that are fully aware of the fight that we're all going through daily to just try and stay healthy. So for me, it was after I finished the house, which was one of the most, it was equally as rewarding for me, with or without the cancer. I did make the decision not to share it with the Seidels because their hearts are so big. They would have said, no, you cannot work on this house. You need to take care of yourself and get better. And someone said, I think it was your sister, said to me the other day, why don't you go back to bangs, Jillian? You had great bangs. And I said, Jenny, those were wigs, darling. They were great wigs. I used to love coming to Rutherford and doing this and acting like I just got my hair cut, because I had one that was a little shorter and one that was a little longer, and I wanted to feel normal. So it's like, what do you think? You like the hair? Anyway, I got through it. But when I did sit down with Lauren Rutherford, and Laura said to me, you've got to do something with this. You know, what we've learned together as sisters on this project needs to be shared with the world. So that's my genesis. And so the first thing I did was, with an amazing team, which I will introduce the team in a little bit, we sat down and we wrote one program. And then we asked the Atlanta Decorative Arts Center if they would support us with an inaugural teaching of this program. And it was an amazing event. And from that presentation, people were wanting to hear the solution. What is the solution? How can we really get the toxins out of our environment? So I'll start with our mission and our vision. So it's pretty straightforward. Our vision is creating a legacy of health and harmony. That's it. It's what we want to do. And our mission is to connect the global family with healthy, eco-sensitive products. It's so basic. And as we wrote these 4 programs, our concern was to keep it simple. And there were days when we would sit in conference rooms or outside at picnic tables, wherever it was, or retreating in any location that we could find in nature, where we would stop each other and we would say, it's getting complicated. If the consumer really is going to embrace this, we have to keep it simple. So we brought in a number of people from the technical world and the research world, and we started a number of different partnerships with many people, and we shared with them our 7 aspirations. And they, again, are very, very straightforward. The first one was simplifying available information. I'd love a show of hands on how many people, when the food farm to table or food to fork came about, had issues with reading labels on anything. Like, deciphering, right? Okay, so haven't we come a long way? I mean, it's just unbelievable how we read labels now as it relates to food consumption. We're in pretty good shape as it relates to the building world because of the LEED certification programs and the earth crafts. But we're not doing so good when it comes to the home furnishings world. And you can have a builder build a house all day long that meets all of the energy requirements. And then you can have an interior designer that doesn't have a clue. And they did everything to keep the toxins out. And then you have a truck show up, unload the truck, and boom. You just undo absolutely everything that you set out to do as a builder. So I'll go into that in a little bit as well. So we want to promote natural and sustainable manufacturing practices. I am very proud of this house because it is one of the most sustainable homes that is being studied in the world. We also have been very lucky to work with the Princess Foundation in the UK, and we have modeled in our program the Natural House, which is, it's just amazing what he did as an architect to pull off a home that is so virtually free of toxins on every level. So between the natural and the sustainable, these are the two categories we really, really want to hit. Obviously, we want to educate families about making healthier choices. That is absolutely no different than educating people about food. We're just not there yet. And the only way we can get there is through education. It cannot be political. It is not political. It's health. It's well-being. And I love what you said about, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you look like in a casket. Maybe some people, but that's so true. So connecting the global family with healthier home building techniques. NAHB, the National Association of Home Builders, has embraced this program. That is huge. That is huge.
Bravo.
Yeah. We have a few ladies here tonight in the audience that are with professional women. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. And they are championing this. They are going to bring it where it needs to go as it relates to getting it up the ladder and into Congress to help us as it relates to just the discussion and the dialogue. And these women are behind this effort. Their husbands are behind this effort, and they are championing this, which is huge, huge. So reducing harmful toxins in the environment responsibly. Let's face it. Wherever you go, you encounter a toxin. So the first thing we've got to do is understand what the toxin is, followed by how do we dissipate it? How do we responsibly off-gas it? First, we want to keep it out of our home, but not everyone's there. I mean, when I first saw Laura was driving a Prius, I had car envy. I wanted a Prius, and my husband said, nope, it's not time for a new car. And I was like, but she's got the Prius, and it's hybrid, and nope, we're not there yet. But we will get there. I got there. But it's the same thing. You cannot just instantly turn your life around and have it be non-toxic. And the last thing I want you all to do tonight is go home and lose sleep. What I'd rather you do is get a good night's sleep, wake up in the morning, and be proactive, just as you are when you read your labels for food consumption. We want to encourage repurposing. We consume way too much. I mean, I need not say too much about that, do I? I mean, this is a very educated group of people. We consume more than any other country on the planet. We've got to change that, and that's part of the wellness effort. And then supporting healthy cottage industries locally and globally. This is where we differ from cradle to cradle. We embrace cradle to cradle, we love cradle to cradle, but we're another level on top of cradle to cradle, because if it's not healthy and it doesn't exist locally, I'm all about finding it and bringing it in, because health is the number one concern with Americans. A focus group was done recently. They were asked to rate the following: health, the planet, and energy efficiency. And it came in this order. Health was number 1. Energy efficiency, because it hits your wallet, is number 2. And sadly, the planet is number 3. But if you weigh in on health, you actually take care of the planet. So in many ways, health and planet are number 1, and energy efficiency falls into number 2. So these are the folks that are willingly partnering with us. And I don't know if you can read it because it goes around in a circle, so if you'll just permit me. We have Global Organic Textiles, Cradle to Cradle, the British Research Establishment in London, who is a lot like our UL. They do third-party testing, but they go a little bit further. They build houses, test them, and then they take them down. They build new houses, they test them, and they take them down. We're standing in a home that is allowed to be tested for 9 years. That's unheard of. The Seidels have been open and willing to give information about this house on every level, whether it's good or bad. And most of it, 99.9% of it, has been good. But what we learned that wasn't so good has helped us change the way we do things in our industry. And for that, we're forever grateful. We're also partnering with UL Green Guard. Marilyn Black has been amazing. Energy Star, Healthy Building Science, they're located in California. NHB Greenbuild, USGBC, this house is a gold lead, and we fought hard for that. We really did, and we helped change the way things are being done with LEED through this house. We're so thankful we're working with the Prince Foundation, the Sustainable Furnishings Council out of High Point, and the Environmental Working Group. And we have relied very, very heavily on the Environmental Working Group, and I thank Laura for that. Laura did some amazing luncheons for year in, year out. The Enlightenment luncheons, we tried not to miss a single one. And what we learned by attending those, and our team learned, just helped open doors for us to take us to this level where we can offer all of this. So next up is the tight box syndrome. That's the problem. We focus so hard on net zero housing and energy efficiency that we are creating the problem. There are high-rises all across the United States that you cannot open a window. And then down the hallway, toxic carpeting is being put in with no opportunity to off-gas. Our buildings are making us sick. So wellness within your walls has become the answer and the solution to the tight box syndrome. And this is what this program is all about, is understanding a balance between energy efficiency and a balance between reducing your toxins in your home. So what comes with the tight box syndrome? Let's take a look at this. I'm sure everyone in the audience has experienced one or more of these at any given time. Fatigue, headache, dry eyes, respiratory complaints. I was just in High Point. I know there's a few people in the room that were just in High Point. I could not get out of some of those buildings quick enough. I'm hoarse because of it. It's got to change. It has to change. How many of you go to the mall for an hour and you're tired? I mean, really, you're healthy young people. Why are you tired from the mall from 1 hour? Have you ever walked by a door at the mall and just barely stepped in and something's not feeling right and you step back out? It's the VOCs that are gassing off, that they're using in our clothing. Long-term impact, possible impact on nervous system and increase in disease. The facts are out there. I won't bore you with the facts. They are in our program, but the facts are there to substantiate, to back this up. And the EPA, this fact hasn't changed. It's been around since Laura and Rutherford and I worked on this house 10 years ago. The EPA consistently ranks indoor air pollution 5 times more polluted and bad for health risks and not as bad as the outdoor environment. I say no more. Year in, year out. It's not changing. So we created categories within our program of Wellness Within Your Walls to fight the tight box syndrome. And those categories are, let's see if we get that up there. Well, first let's back up. A few more facts as it relates to ADHD, autism, hearing loss, intellectual disability, learning disability, and vision impairment. As reported by the Center for Disease Control, 15%. Now, I will say it didn't rise. That fact was out there in 2008. It was reported by Laura during one of her Enlightenment luncheons. We recently checked the fact again, and it hasn't changed. So the good news is it's not going up. So something's going on, but we got to get it down. The conversation is out there and it's happening, which is really good. So I want to just show you some of the things that you all have in your home. You have cleaning supplies, and you all remodel at some point. So we've got toxins in the paints, the aerosols, what we wash our clothes in, dryer sheets. I mean, just tomorrow, pull something out, and if you don't understand what's on it, throw it out. You got to understand what you're using in your homes. I was raised to believe Lysol was a clean house. How many of you were raised to believe that Lysol was a clean house? I don't fault my mother, she didn't know any better. But the smell of Lysol, how many of you think a new car smell is a good smell? Right? Oh, my new car smell. Flame retardants. That's how good that smell is. So these are things that our minds, we have to retrain our minds to think differently. So in the center here, there are all these links, and we do believe that the Wellness Within Your Walls education is going to make a big difference. And we've worked with Piedmont Hospital here in Atlanta. We worked on their new Orr Family Brain Tumor Center. I hope you all get to go over and see it at some point. And the building number is
It's in our 2001 building. It's on the 6th floor, which is where our fitness center is. That's the best destination. So it's on the 6th floor up there. Wonderful facility.
And Mendel, Frida, and Betsy Orr is here tonight, led the charge on this. They wanted to show that you could have a non-toxic environment within a hospital. And Piedmont's doing some wonderful things with MD Anderson. They've got a new campus coming through and making big changes. It's an institution that's signed up in this thinking, which we will see changes. And it's health, so it needs to happen. So we have 3 categories. Natural, made from natural materials, but I want to remind you, not all natural is good. Most overused word, one of the most overused words, radon is natural, asbestos is natural, lead is natural. So when you see the word natural, be leery. Just as when you see honey, you need to be looking for 100% pure honey, because they now have found a way to genetically create honey that tastes, looks, and drifts like honey, and it's not honey. Perfectly back to what we do in our industry. Sustainable.
Don't buy it from China.
And yeah, you should buy local honey anyway. Sustainable, made of sustainable materials, provides long-term well-being. The word recycling is overused. It's good to recycle, don't get me wrong. But if it was bad the first time, why would you recycle it the second time? It's just, right? It's common sense. And being responsible, that's controlling the toxins. I like to believe that this little family on the floor with their paint, they're smiling because they know there's no VOCs in their paint. That is responsible. Does it cost more, Jillian? Yes. How much more does it cost? 10 to 20%, depending on what brand you're buying. Really? Is that really what you care about? It's your health. All it takes is one cell going rogue, and you never know when it's going to go rogue, and it could be because of the VOCs in your paint. So basically, I want you to know when you leave tonight, there is a brochure out there. It tells you a little bit more about this. We've got Christine Eisner here with us, who is working really hard to try and get this into the colleges, and that's just thrilling to me, because we need to be teaching this at that level. There are a number of people here that are in the development industry. I have an interior designer in the back that gave me a commitment recently that he's going to champion this with me and our team. And anyone, I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, anyone you know that can benefit from taking the classes, whether it's just the first one that's an introduction or all 4. And if you can help us spread the word, because we can do this. It's been a grassroots effort. We have taught the classes in Portugal, England, and in 10 states in the United States. We're being asked to come to France and teach them. We're being asked to come to Italy and teach them. I spoke to a doctor tonight that thinks that we can get to Asia to teach them. We have an individual who is in Lisbon who wants to get us to South America to teach them. And once we are all talking the same language, we really can make a difference. But we all have to start somewhere. Remember, go home, look under your sink. If there's too many words that you don't understand, throw them out. My husband still hasn't forgiven me for getting rid of the Teflon. So, what I'd like to do now is do a little shout out to a few people in the room. And I'm going to start with Nani Preuss. Here's Nani. She's our general manager. And she's championed this like no one you can imagine.